We all had a meeting with our barristers because there was several barristers and all that. I remember Ronnie got told he was going to get 16 years. I was told that I was going to get 10 years, right? And so I was the only defendant with children. And so I was thinking, wow, that's my kids' education, right? And so that's why in the parlance, I kind of went on my toes. In other words, I absconded from court for a couple of years.
Hmm.
And then I ended up working at an organic farm. And the funny thing about that was that on the day that I was sentenced in my absence, it was on the TV. I was working on the farm, and the farmer called me in to see my sentence on the TV. And so it's going, Roger, your sentence is on TV. So I ran in, and there it was on the news. The one person who wasn't there was me. And the weird thing was, and I didn't know this until much later when I read it in a zine, that the court had forgotten about me, including including I know, including the judge. And then suddenly, just before he kind of went bang, that's the end of the trial. Somebody went, hang on a minute, there's somebody else, kind of thing. And if he'd have beaten that, then they couldn't do anything with me then. But unfortunately, it wasn't the case. So there you go.
Wow, that's amazing. That does happen often here in the US as well. A lot of times, smaller activists, because, I mean, the government does want to prosecute them, but it's really just for public show or to put the pressure on. They'll just, after a while, lose interest, and they might even know who the person is while they're on the run and where they are, but they don't, they don't act on it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing I learned in my years, that part of my career, if you like, call it that, is not to trust anything that the news say about you,
Mm.
and also not to trust the court system. And it was interesting because I became a sociologist afterwards, and I studied criminology,
Mm.
and it was really interesting to be able to put what I'd experienced going through the court system and then the
As
prison
a
system.
criminal.
Yeah, and then I was able to understand it from a
Mm.
critical criminology point of view. And it's really, I mean, like one thing fundamental, which is a bit weird about a court case, is the prosecution go first. Now, essentially, what that means is that they erect this scaffold with all the facts and figures and all the rest of it. The defendant did this, the defendant did that, blah, blah, blah. And then it comes your turn, and you're there talking to your barrister or solicitor, and you're saying, well, there's lots of lies there. And they're going, well, yeah, we know that, but we can't say it's all lies. So what we've got to do is try and take the big bits down to try and damage their case. But we
Mm.
can't say it's all lies because the public won't believe it. And also, the public don't want to believe it because, the court and the police and all that, they're supposed to protect us.
Right.
That's what, yeah. And so they're obviously not going to, listen to some long-haired layabout versus a police officer, right? And so if you say the guy's lying, it doesn't go down well, even though it's true.